Hey, Crystal Maiden here, and this is Mystic Caves. I never really liked this place. Like, again, there's lots of places where you can crush, and I hate the Firefly badniks that you have to deal with here because they surround themselves with a golden force field, and it comes up really quickly and suddenly before you have time to react. And when you run into them when they're surrounded by that golden force field, they damage you. And they're put in the most annoying of places that sometimes you're guaranteed to run into them. And as you saw before, there were those blue things that came out of the walls all of a sudden, and they can easily hit you too. You have to hang on these vines to make the bridges stop being in your way and allowing you to progress. And, well, you'll see it later. It's gonna get worse. I gotta stress though, the Spin Dash is a really great addition to the franchise. Ugh! I hate those things! It's so easy to get crushed in this level. Especially by the blocks. The blocks that constantly move around each other. And sometimes you're forced to squeeze between them in order to progress. And it's very tense, and it slows down the pace of the level to a crawl. I mean, there's a few sort of fast sections, but it's mostly about the platforming. It's not even platforming that's all that satisfying. For the most part, it's just about trying to avoid being crushed. It's satisfying jumping off the vines and being brought upwards and downwards by the vines. That's really satisfying. But at the same time, you don't have much horizontal momentum jumping off from them. So it kind of feels like it's a crapshoot whether or not you get sent to exactly where you want to go. I prefer the two-player version of this level. I prefer the two-player version of this level's music, because this music seems like it doesn't really know what it's doing, like it's improvising. In fact, a lot of the music of the soundtrack feels like it's improvising. I never really liked the music of this game all that much. Sometimes it feels like it's just too Genesis twangy, and it doesn't really know where it's going melody-wise. I mean, there are some gems in the game soundtrack. I love the special stage theme. It's perfectly suited to the chaotic nature of the place, because the special stages are basically what happens when the powerful influence of a magical chaos emerald is too much for reality to bear, and it distorts reality into some sort of weird place straight out of an acid trip. That's basically what special stages are. So the music is perfectly suited to that. But a lot of I like, oh god, the pit! This is the most infamous part of this level, and probably the most infamous part of all of Sonic 2. It's so easy because the vine is slightly to the right of where you'd expect it to be. So it's very easy to run ahead, because God forbid you try to go fast in a Sonic game, on a long, flat stretch of land where you're usually instinctively running fast. So you fall into the pit, and you die because there's no way to escape it. And that's not the first time that an inescapable spike pit will appear in a Sonic game. People like to act like this is the only time, but no, it gets worse. And even if you're a Super Sonic, you can still die to that thing. And it's even worse because you have to wait for your rings to run out before you can get killed by the spikes. Like a lot of people say, like some people say, oh, it's being blown out of proportion. But seriously? I've had 2 separate playthroughs where I died to the spike pit twice in a row. That's bad level design. That is terrible, terrible level design. And don't you just love it when you die before a checkpoint, just before you're about to hit it? Isn't that fun? And look, spikes. There's so many spikes in this game. This is a pretty difficult platforming challenge. It tricks you into jumping earlier than you should. Not really something you see very often in a Sonic game. It shouldn't be that difficult to determine by now why I don't like Sonic 2. Oh, look, a spring just set me back. Yeah, that's a great level design. It feels like this was definitely the second game in the series, alright. Because Sonic 1, some people say that its level design didn't know what it was doing with itself, but to be honest, they only say that because Sonic is supposed to be a fast-paced platformer. And so, by not being fast-paced, it comes off as the game not knowing what to do with itself. But Sonic 1 had a solid focus. Its solid focus was platforming, and really good platforming at that, because Sonic was the first instance ever of a fast-paced platformer. And so they wanted to put in a whole bunch of regular platforming in it to make sure they would sell, because they didn't want to put all their eggs in one basket and hedge their bets on the fast-paced platforming being popular. So they had to put in a bunch of normal platforming to make sure that the game would be popular. And as a result, Sonic 1 had a very good reason for being very platforming heavy, and it had a solid focus for the most part, and so it was good. But Sonic 2 tries to veer away from that, but just so in a very awkward and haphazard way, because again, I feel like the reason the level design had problems is because they introduced Super Sonic, the golden spiky-haired invincible form of Sonic, and they thought that everyone would be playing through all of the game as him, because they didn't really think things through, and so they made the levels too cheap because they didn't think it mattered in the end. But it does matter. A lot of people, like me, are not going to be getting all the Chaos Emeralds at all, let alone early. So, you pretty much have to suffer through all of the level, and suffer through all of its traps, and without a super form. And the game is a lot more fun playing through it with super form. Because yeah, I admit it, I used a cheat code to get Super Sonic and play through the game as him. Twice, in fact. Well, actually 3 times. Well, 2.5 times, because as I mentioned before, the game soft locked it on me in Hilltop Zone. So I had to play the entire game all over again to get to that point. And when I played the game with Super Sonic, oh, I hate this pit so much. When I played the game as Super Sonic, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. I still didn't think the level design was all that fun. It wasn't nearly as fast as I wanted it to be, and the platforming wasn't nearly as satisfying as in Sonic 1. Oh yeah, the weird thing about this boss fight is the rocks falling down don't hurt you, but the spikes do. How are you supposed to know that? That's so unintuitive. That's terrible design. Don't put rocks there if they're just in the background, but you can't tell they're in the background, so you try to dodge everything, and so you run into the spikes because you can't dodge everything. So that's terrible design. And I hate how the drills on Eggman's Eggmobile, they face you at an extremely quick speed before you can react. So the drills will always hit you. But yeah, this is kind of annoying because if you land on the fire below the platforms that get launched, you'll get hit. And it's really easy to do that because they get launched so quickly and suddenly. And you can jump through the oil. The oil doesn't actually hurt you. I love the music for this level. Some people told me that you could jump under the oil and skip the entire level. Obviously, that's not true. I think they're thinking about that one level, Super Mario Bros. 3, where you could jump under all of the dirty water and completely skip one of the levels in Bowser's World. This level isn't really about that. You have to go through all of it. Those guys look like Octoroks. Am I the only one who looks at them and thinks Octoroks? Maybe it's because Zelda's been my main franchise for all of my life, but I just can't help but see them as Octoroks. Like, they got their round bodies, and they're sort of reddish, and they have those little snouts. I don't know. And look, those seahorses shoot projectiles at you. And they shoot projectiles almost the instant they show up. How is that fair? When you're moving ahead so fast, and Sonic's trapped at the center of the camera. So, the obstacles that can hurt you pop up on the right side of the screen when you're moving fast so suddenly that you have to have lightning fast reflexes to avoid running into them. I really hate the slides because they rob you of the opportunity to curl up into a ball on the slopes and go down them really fast. Because the slides, they're a fun gimmick, I guess. I like that animation. The slides are a fun gimmick, but they aren't nearly as fast as just rolling into a ball on the slopes. And I hate these elevators because they slow you down and they don't add anything positive at all. And I hate these cannons too. They're entirely automated sections. Like, people love to complain about how the 3D Sonic games are too automated, but it's been like this since the very second game. Well, technically this is the 4th game. But anyways, like, you are doing nothing here. You aren't even pressing the A button. They're just automatically shooting you into cannons and you're doing nothing. That is so boring. And now you're just waiting around. Although at least you're not waiting around in the elevators as long as you were waiting on the moving blocks in Marble Zone. So I can give it credit for that. As cheap as this level is, it's still better than Marble Zone. Even if it's, well, no, it's not longer because there's only 2 acts. These fans are annoying. You have to wait for a little while before you're allowed to go through them, and it can sort of stump you and potentially make you think that you can't progress, and then you try going to the left or something. And like, what positive thing did that fan contribute to level design? Nothing. It feels like a lot of gimmicks in this game are just put there for no reason and don't add anything. Like, what's that spring that's sending you back? What's the positive contribution of that spring? The level design just feels so haphazard. Not outright ROM hack bad, but close to it. And here's the most unintuitive part of the entire game and of the classic Sonic games as a whole. How are you supposed to know that you have to stand on one of the rising platforms and get launched up into that purple thing, and that it'll send you up to a cannon? How the fuck are you supposed to know that standing on the second platform isn't going to get you crushed when you hit the ceiling? How are you supposed to know that? Every time I play this game, well, not every time, because I eventually learned it, but almost every time I played this game when I was first playing it, I got stuck here, because I didn't realize you were supposed to do that, because it's so unintuitive. The graphics don't really make it all that obvious that there's a hole at the bottom of the purple platform, and at the top of it. Why can't there just be a regular spring there? Why do you have to slowly push something into the wall? And I got hit twice by that thing. And it's in a dickish place where, like, I know it's sort of, I'm not just complaining about it because I'm bad at the game. I mean, I don't think that's a legitimate thing to say in response to criticism, that you hate a game because you suck at it. You just suck at it. That's what a lot of Sonic 06 defenders say. This is coming from someone who beat Sonic 2 for the Master System twice and didn't really have a problem with it. So it's not that I'm bad at video games. It's just that this game is really cheap. And I'm trying not to be too negative. Every time I desperately want to like this game. Like, every time I play through it, I'm trying to brainwash myself into liking it. I'm trying to focus on the good. But all I can focus on is the flaws, and thinking about how every level of the game is just a tedious slog for me to play through, and I hate it because there's so many things about it that annoy me. And there's so many things that they could have done right but didn't. And like the enemies, and like, how are you supposed to know that that's part of the background and you can go to the right? How are you supposed to know that's not a wall? Again, how are you supposed to know that's not a wall? I love the music of this place. I really do. And it's nice how you can jump to the left to get to that checkpoint instead of the slide dicking you over and not allowing you to get a checkpoint right before a boss, because that would have sucked. Oh, here's how you cheat this boss. Here's the smart way to deal with this boss. Just stay in the oil and keep constantly jumping, and you'll avoid all of his attacks. Some of which are nearly unavoidable. Like, this attack is practically unavoidable sometimes. Just keep doing that, keep jumping so you won't sink into the oil, and jump at him at every opportunity. And there you go. But the first few times I played this game, I didn't think to do that, so I had a miserable time. But yeah, I like a lot of things about this game. I like Oil Ocean Zone's theme. It sounds sort of like the stereotypical desert music, but it's got a twist on it. It's got a little remix that makes me like it a lot. And again, I'm sorry that the shield completely covers Sonic here. That doesn't happen in the actual game. It's just the way the video is. His shield doesn't carry over to the next zone. As you can see, it disappeared there. See you next part.